What's going on, guys, and welcome to May's episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, how you doing? Are you excited to talk about EA, FC24, GhostRunner 2, and Tunic, the games we played in May, and excited to find out the games we will be playing in June? How you doing?
Doing good. Had a pretty relaxing weekend, which has been nice. I've also gotten to play video games, which has been nice.
It's always nice. It's always nice.
Yeah, and as far as what we have to talk about, fortunately, I played them somewhat recently, so they should be pretty fresh on my mind. And I vaguely know what we're playing next month. It looks pretty easy, but I'm also willing to be surprised because I don't think I really know a couple of those games very well. So.
I haven't played any of them, but we'll get to that in a sec. It's good to hear, though. They got to play some games. I also got to play some games because I've been on vacation this past week, and that is why this episode is 2 days delayed than normal release, because I haven't been available, basically. So here we are doing it anyway, but I had a really relaxing week. I played video games. I didn't play any of the single-player games that I wanted to play, but I played a lot of multiplayer games. I played a ton of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is a janky mess, but a lot of fun. I recommend it lately. It's a $40 game in early access. That's a little steep, but I'm playing it. And yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on the new PlayStation Plus games that are coming out fairly soon, Tuesday, I think. And those are, let's see, we got Streets of Rage 4. I almost said Street Fighter. Streets of Rage 4, SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake, and AEW Fight Forever, which I believe is wrestling.
Yeah.
So those are the games. What do we think? Did I? Yeah, I did. Okay. I'm all over the place. Too much caffeine.
I haven't played a brawler in a little while outside of there's a little indie game, fan game called Hollow Break. I played a little bit of that, but that was the last time I played a brawler, so that'll be interesting to play.
This should also be multiplayer, so that's something we should definitely play together.
Probably make it a little more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Those games are better with friends. I have no idea what the SpongeBob is. I assume it's a action-adventure platformer.
Yeah. It's the spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom, which we have played on Plus Club.
Spiritual successor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's not a direct sequel in the SpongeBob universe.
So why wouldn't it just be? It doesn't matter. It's a standalone title. I get it. I'm sure it'll be fine, but we'll see. Maybe I'll love it. Maybe I'll hate it. I have zero expectations for that. And then I don't remember the last time I touched a wrestling game. So this will probably be the most interesting one for me.
Yeah.
Coming up. I'm hoping for a very detailed character creator because that's like one of the best parts of wrestling games. Just the sheer level of customization. I watched someone recently play one of the wrestling games, and I couldn't believe the amount of things you could customize, going into the match and stuff. So I'll probably have fun with that for sure. As far as how it plays, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious about AEW Fight Forever because I used to play a lot of wrestling games. I haven't played them in a while, but the ones I did play were WWF and WWE, which are going to be obviously higher quality because they're bigger brands, but, well, WWF was. So I'm really curious to see what AEW gets in terms of quality because I've never played an AEW fighting or wrestling game.
Oh, true.
So I don't know what that. I know it is another wrestling organization, but I've never played a game for them, so I don't know who makes it, how well it'll be made. I probably won't know any of the people, so it's going to be really interesting trying that out. SpongeBob SquarePants Cosmic Shake, I assume, is going to be a decent platformer. I think Battle for Bikini Bottom was a decent platformer. It's obviously an older game that they had to remaster, but it was fine, so I assume this will be fine as well. I've never played it. And then Streets of Rage 4 is a game that I've almost pulled the trigger on multiple times because I do like the older Streets of Rage, but I also assume it's going to be very much like those games, which is a positive and negative because the positive is I like those kind of games. They're fun, but I've also played a lot of those kind of games, and so it's not a game that I'll rush to go play. So finally, I'm going to have to play it regardless, without having to go out and buy it myself and that'll be interesting. I've heard nothing but good things about it though, so that'll be cool to finally experience it. Because if it's anything like the original games, it's gonna be a fun brawler, and I like those kind of games. So shout out to the Scott Pilgrim brawler that came out a long time ago. That was a really good one. I think it was like one of the last ones I played, and that was a really good one. So really excited for this month. All 3 games I haven't played. What a rarity. Actually, this month was like that as well. So with that, anything else?
Nope.
Let's talk about the games we did play, and those games were EA FC24, which it just clicked in my head. I've been playing it this month, and it just clicked in my head. This is FIFA.
Yeah.
I forgot that they changed it to FC. So I've been playing this, and I'm like, I swear I've played this fucking game before. So anyway, we'll talk about it. GhostRunner 2, which is the sequel to GhostRunner, of course, and Tunic. Let's start with EA FC24. If you didn't get a chance to play that, it's FIFA. This is the new name, in case you don't know somehow, like me. I'm sure everybody knows this is FIFA, though. It's soccer. It's got a lot of soccer stuff going on. It's a soccer sim. There's a career mode. There's a manager mode. There's like some ultimate mode that I didn't really get into a whole lot, but that apparently has like skills and stuff you unlock for your character. It's got Volta mode, which is coming back from the last game. I don't know how long it's been in the FIFA series. I've played the last one and this one. That's it. But which is like street soccer, but you have like power ups and skills and stuff like that. You can create your own character. You can buy clothing for them. What else is here? The game plays like basically every soccer game I've played. You kick the ball, you pass the ball, you kick it into the goal. You aggressively kick the ball out from underneath people's feet too much, you get in trouble, which I got into a lot. And then, anything else?
Yeah, sounds about it to me.
But. Okay, it's soccer. You guys know soccer or football, wherever you're from? You kick the ball. We both played it, and let's go with your impressions of EA FC 24 in May.
Okay. Super ignorant when it comes to sports, so a lot of this will be lost on me. So as just a guy playing a video game, the first impression, as usual with these type of games, and that's just the way they are, unfortunately, there's just a lot of screens you have to get through just to get to the game. I hate it.
It's rough, yeah. Especially just starting the game up. There's all these menus, and I'm like going through them, and you have to go like 7 down to find the training section, which I was like, that's weird. So they're definitely creating this game for people who are already playing FIFA.
Yeah.
This is like welcome back FIFA players, but for new players, which to their credit, I would have never bought this game. So it's only because this show and our dedication to playing the PlayStation Plus games, I even played this fucking game. So they're probably right on the money in terms of not welcoming me. But it was wild. I was like going through. I'm like, what is this mode? What is this? What is? Yeah. I'm reading one's like career, blah blah blah, and they go to another one's like, this is where you have the ultimate career. I'm like, what? Isn't this like that mode? Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I was pretty lost too.
Yeah, so I just went straight down. I was like, oh, I remember Volta. And I started playing Volta just to get back into the game. Anyway.
Yeah. After digging through and reading all the menus and trying to figure out what to do, the first night I played it, I decided I didn't really want to play so much as I just wanted to like check the game out. So I did the management mode the first night, made my team, went through, and then started learning how it worked, where you wait for events to happen on the calendar.
Yep.
You get, emails about like potential purchases or trade offers and stuff like that. And then eventually you do get the games. And the one part I kind of appreciate about the game part is your camera angle can either be like over the shoulder of your, I don't know if it's a manager or coach or whatever it's called in soccer. You know what I'm talking about, I'm sure.
The big boss.
The character you make who's calling all the shots. And you can either watch it from that perspective, which is a cool like little immersion aspect of the game, because that's obviously how you would do it, is you would watch from the sidelines, or you can do the typical like bird's eye view, which I did eventually switch to because it was just easier. But it was nice being able to kind of get a feel for soccer while also just like getting subtle things like, oh, this guy's getting tired, switch him out with someone else, keep their energy up, stuff like that. And honestly, I'm a fan of management stuff anyway, so I had a pretty decent amount of fun. I wasn't like big into it, but it was definitely kind of more up my alley.
I only dabbled in it for a second. Do you have to play ever?
You can choose to.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a cool choice because a couple months, like 2 months ago, we played an F1 game that had a manager mode, and you had to race every single time too. And I was like, I'll just race then.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just race?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was like, I thought this was going to be like you're managing and watching type thing. And it did have a lot of options for the management part, but then every race, it's like, all right, here you go, race. And I was like, I kind of didn't want to race for this. I just wanted to see if I could do like a manager thing and then watch the races or something. But so I just went back to racing. So yeah, that's cool that you can either just manage or actually play because maybe you want to do both.
Yeah, well, this is like a couple times. Forgive my terminology, but where
we're not soccer
either people. They tried to shoot a goal too close to the goal or something like that. It was out of bounds, offsides or something like that, and then or the ball would go out of bounds. And then I get a little prompt that would say like, "Hey, this guy's stamina's low," and then like a timer would happen just to keep the flow of the game going, obviously. But I could choose to hold a button and swap them out for a replacement in that moment and stuff. So pretty cool. It's pretty streamlined, to be honest, which was nice in that regard. And then the little extra touches of like when I was negotiating a contract with someone, it showed like me and another guy on a couch talking to another person or whatever. I thought it was kind of fun. I'm sure it's a lot more fun for someone who's into soccer.
It's probably so much better for somebody who's just actually into the sport and knows like players and stuff like that. Because for me, I tried it for a second and it was just like a lot of like going through the calendar and making decisions and spending money investing in things and shit. I'm like, I'm not.
It was rough at first.
I'm not doing this.
Because I had
so
no idea. And then I just kind of forced myself to kind of keep going.
No, I'm glad because you got to experience what they actually are offering. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and it was fun enough. If you're into that kind of thing. And then I went to play it again, and you had mentioned the Volta mode. So I went and I clicked on that, and I noticed it was trying to put me in a match with someone, and I backed out instantly. I was like, nope.
For it's online.
I don't want to play with people. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, luckily no one talks or anything. It's just a lot of people running around.
Yeah.
All dressed stupid.
I did go to, I think it's career mode, and I had to make another character.
Yep.
Which is fine. Obviously I don't want my manager
being
it's like
a soccer player. But. It's like they got like 6 different like soccer games in one suite.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that sport, like extreme sports game where you did biking or snowboarding and all that stuff. It's all kind of mashed in one game. This definitely is like I guess the basketball game was like the two where it had a bunch of stuff as well, including Volta. So if I'm not mistaken, it had a street ball mode. It didn't matter. Anyways, so I did play a match within that mode, and at first I was struggling because I did not go through the training like I probably should have, but I eventually kind of got through it. I definitely preferred being defensive and tackling. I know soccer's tackling is just kicking the ball at people's feet, but and getting the ball back upfield or whatever. And it plays super simple, which is nice because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. The hardest part for me was actually trying to get power shots, because when you hold the button, the little this cone opens up, and I kicked over the goal so many times because I just was wailing on that ball. I was like, okay, I need to start tapping the button instead.
Yeah, I get used to that too.
So, but I mean, overall, for what it was, I thought it was fine, fun enough. I obviously don't have a love for the sport, so I can only love it or enjoy it so much, and I can't speak to game balance or nuance or anything like that because I just have no idea. So from my perspective, it was fine. So
yeah, I'm not gonna be able to offer much more than what you just said. Outside of this, felt like the FIFA we played last time on PlayStation Plus. Had similar modes, similar everything. While playing this, I was like, I feel like I've played this already. So kind of gave me some interesting insight, because when we played FIFA before, I was like, I don't play these games ever, so it's going to be interesting to see where the genre is at, basically. And now I'm playing a game that's a sequel to that game, and now I get to see what a yearly difference in this genre is. So I'm getting a little more insight on the genre, and it's basically what I was worried about, is that it's just a minor roster change, probably. They probably changed up players or something. I don't know, because otherwise it felt very similar. If there's any major changes that somebody's knowing of, let me know in the comments because I don't play these games regularly. But yeah, hopping in, I just played a couple games of the like normal mode, like a traditional soccer, just to see what it played like, and it played fine. It's very simple, like it's soccer. You got to kick the ball into the goal, run around, switch players, kick it. It was fine. It wasn't boring, but also there's better things I could be doing. But then, like I did the last review, I hopped over to Volta. I did try the manager thing, like I said before, but it didn't last very long because I was like, I'm too I need to be involved with the game more than this. I can't do this. So I like micromanaging in other types of games, but this was just like not for me. Although still better than that F1 game. But anyway, I played Volta mode for the majority of the time I played the game, just to kind of level up my character, see what that was like. It's just like Volta from the last game, but still kind of fun. I like that. This sounds kind of, maybe I'm just looking for like a more arcadey sports game, but the field's smaller, which I kind of like. So it feels a little more like compact. All the players are right there. It's like 6v6, I think, or 5v5. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
And you got like moves. Like I had like a bull move where you could run through people and other stuff. So played that for a while. Didn't do awesome, but I helped a little bit in some ways. Some people are definitely playing that game all the time because they were playing much better than other people. And some people I feel like were bots. I feel like some people there was no soul. There was nobody there.
It's possible. Maybe fill slots.
Yeah, or because they're just acting very like. I mean, the whole game's full of bots, so it's definitely possible. So if there's bot support in the multiplayer, it's probably smart to keep the game going.
Super smart.
But you could tell some people were playing as people, changing up their tactics and stuff, and other people were just kind of always chasing the ball and stuff and just never really deviated from their tactics. So as for the game, visually, graphics were fine. I wasn't super impressed with it. I think I was more impressed last time we played it because I hadn't played a game like this. The animations, all that stuff, the way they're stepping was pretty impressive. This time around, I felt less impressed with it. Probably because I've already seen it, but I don't know. But it's not bad. I don't know what the best looking sports game out there is, but shorts physics were weird though. I know it's a weird thing to bring up, but when I spawned in my character, he like drops in and the shorts bounced and then bounced up his legs in a weird like slinky way. So that was a weird.
This could be a very strange example, but kind of like when you switch poses in MMO and the females characters reset.
The booba physics
go nuts for a second.
Yeah, basically, yeah. These shorts were booba physics. So that has nothing to do with my review. It's just an observation of the graphics, basically. I noticed a lot of weird things when I play things. But yeah, I won't fluff up this review any further. I played it. It was fine. I wasn't blown away by it, but I didn't dislike it either. So I would never play a game like this on purpose again. But if we get it, on Plus Club again, I'll play it and I'll probably enjoy it. I think we've only played like one sports game ever that I thought was like shit. It was a baseball game. I think it was The Show or something.
Yeah,
MLB The Show. I think that was.
They're fine.
Yeah, sports are classic. Like you fucking. It's a game. Like you got to kick the ball into the hole. You got to hit the ball really far. You got to throw the ball and catch it. Like it's all simple, but so it translates well to a video game. But it always comes down to what their control scheme is and how the game plays. If you got some weird scheme to like hit the ball or kick the ball or whatever, like keep that shit simple because I want to think about the actual tactics that are happening in real time as opposed to the game's mechanical tactics that. Or mechanics that are allowing me to do the functions I'm trying to do, basically. Like in this, it's just to kick. You got to hold the button to different velocities. Simple enough. I could do that. So, but some games are like, take the left stick and hold it back, and on the right stick, you got to click it real quick in the right timing and shit. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that. So, I know some games will allow you to change that too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the wanting to make it more immersive. And I'm sure for some people they want that, but
I think I'm thinking of the golf game that did something like that.
Yeah, but from an outside perspective, I do kind of prefer it to be a little more arcadey than sim myself. Yep. So I actually enjoy playing. This is going to be a bit of an offshoot, but like you brought up golf. I like golf games, but I like them to be a little on the arcadey side because I'm just kind of playing it for the fun of it, not the competitiveness of it or the skill of it. So.
Yeah, I almost like never want to focus on changing like my driver and stuff, which I'm sure if you're really into golf, you want that experience.
Oh,
like,
sure.
oh, I know the perfect one for this. For me though, I just want to like aim the ball, play the arcade mechanic to hit the ball in the right way in the right wind. That's a fun aspect of golf is like watching the wind and trying to get it to roll on the topography correctly. That's all fun to me. But yeah, when it comes down to like, yeah, are you using a fucking wedge or whatever the hell they're all called? And are you doing this and that and standing in this way and all this shit? I'm just like, I'm not that guy. I'm not super into golf, but
It's actually something I appreciate about this game though. Is like the buttons are super simple.
yeah, I was like coming into it going like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to learn a lot of shit. And then I went through some of the training, which was hard to find, and it was actually really simple too. They had it really set up simply, like it's just like, okay, do this, and if you fail, they just respawn you. Do this, do this, do this. But by the time I did like 7 of the training courses, I was like, okay, I got this. Let's go. So, yeah. So outside of finding where things are at, if you're a newcomer, it is inviting to newcomers in terms of like its simplicity. So I'll give it that. You have anything else you want to say on it? We talked about this way longer than I thought we would. Let's jump into recommendations. If you like soccer, if you like sports, if you like FIFA, you're already playing this game. If you like games, if you like scoring points in games, just play this game because it's a game that you score points in. Some people just, like getting points. If you like kicking balls, you kick balls in this. If I don't know what else.
It's soccer, dude. Like.
Yeah.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Small recommendation. If you liked old school like NFL Blitz style games, this has that Volta mode, which I like the most out of all the modes in this. So even if you kind of like soccer, but you're not really into the sim aspect, play Volta mode. It's pretty fun, but you have to play online, I think. So
I didn't see an option otherwise.
That's worth mentioning because maybe you're somebody who's opposed to that. I know plenty of people who don't want to play with other people. So unless it's people they know. So any other recommendations?
No.
Okay, let's grade it. You went with impressions first, so I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it like a light B minus. I would just give it a C as passing, but like there's a lot to it, and it all works fine. And I'm sure if I was more invested in soccer, I'd probably grade it higher because they'd be like, "Oh shit, they actually have all the things I'm looking for." But for me as a newcomer, I'm just like, "Yeah, it's fine. You play soccer and it plays well, and it's got a lot of stuff." But nothing there that's super exciting or to love for me. So I think a B minus is fair. Yeah.
I would go as high as a B plus because I do think the game has a lot to offer, a lot of modes, and is simple enough to play. I'm sure as complicated as you wanted it to be as well. I am going to dock it though because I hate the amount of menus to get into the just to get into the game.
Yeah.
And then it's not very approachable from a new player perspective, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a B minus as well. I think that's very fair. It's where I was kind of thinking that right off the bat, anyways. But I do think some small adjustments could make it a higher rating. So.
Have a thing right at the beginning, right before you get to all the main menu stuff. Just be like, "Hey, are you new to this game?"
Well, part of the problem too is like the big companies always have like 7,000 EU, LA, things you got to read through as well, which is so stupid.
Yeah, and I'm sure it would be annoying to have another menu pop up, but something simple like, "Hey, are you coming into this game new?" Hit yes, it takes you to the tutorial, or like, "Would you like to play the tutorial?"
Yeah.
And then if you hit no, just start it up.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal. I found the training. It was just like weird to me that I had to fucking go find it. So
yeah, but yeah, I mean overall, I think it's fine. Like you, I probably won't play it outside of my obligation to, but I didn't hate it. So
yeah, it's fine. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, 2 B minuses. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of EA FC24. I'm really curious about the opinions of people who have been playing FIFA. How do you feel about this one compared to prior ones? Also really curious about people who might have played this game who don't play these games. How did you feel about it? Did you have a similar experience to us, or did you have your own experience? Let us know in the comments. And what was your favorite mode in EA FC24? Or did you hate the whole thing? Let me know in the comments below. Next game we played in May was, let's go with Tunic. Okay. Tunic is a top-down Zelda-esque action game where you play as a fox in a very low textured world where you explore without any indicators of really where to go. I mean, there's some hints here and there, but you just kind of wander around. It's top down. You can,
like Super Nintendo level wander around.
you get a sword pretty early on in the game. After that, you can like cut bushes to find new paths. There's a lot of secret paths behind like waterfalls and cracks. They're off screen. That will go somewhere else. Chests to open. There's a shield, sword. You find a lot of items like firecrackers you can throw and blow up. You get, I don't know what they're called in this, but basically like Estus flasks that you can drink to heal. There's checkpoints that will respawn enemies similar to Dark Souls, so there's definitely some Dark Souls influence here. Lock on combat, you don't have to, but you can. A lot of times I found myself doing both, depending on the enemy type. And as you explore further and further, you start unlocking more and more places to go and new ways to explore. And yeah, there's boss fights, enemies all over the fucking place. If you die, you drop these coins that you can spend, but you can recover the coins, similar to Souls in Dark Souls. And yeah, it's basically a 3D old school SNES Zelda game, but you're a fox. We both played it, and I go first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this game is a game that I've wanted to play for a while, but because I'm not super into like retro style games as much as a lot of people are, because I always, similar to Streets of Rage, what I said earlier, I've played so many of them that I almost feel like I know what to expect. So I'm like not super excited to play the games, but I kind of wanted to play because I thought the art style was simple but cool looking. I thought the gameplay looked decent. And so, you know, not having pulled the trigger on it before, finally gotten to play it via PlayStation Plus, I have to say I did actually like this game. Out of all three, and this is a little bit of hint on GhostRunner 2, out of all three games that I downloaded this month, it's the only one I kept installed. I played it the most out of all the games. I haven't beaten it, but I've put a good chunk of time into it. And I actually really have been enjoying it for what it is. It definitely harkens back to Zelda. This feels so much as a love letter to Zelda. Even you get these like old school like NES like manuals that are written in the game's language. You can't read them, but it shows you like hints on how to do certain things. It's really weird too, because certain things I learned to do a long time ago, I would find these manuals and it would like show me how to do them. I'm like, I already learned how to do that. So that's kind of a weird design, but it definitely adds to the whole flavor of like, this is obviously inspired by old school Zelda style games, or like Willow if you're really old school, because that game haunted my childhood.
That one's hard as hell.
Love that game, but that game is creepy as shit. Still playing it, I'm just like, ugh. I still have like this childhood, like, ugh, I hate the wind effects and the fucking music. Anyway, this game is very simple but engaging. Gameplay is super simple though. You run around, you lock on, you roll, you swing, you block once you get a shield, and all the enemies basically attack in ways that you're going to be using those things. There's like turrets that'll shoot at you that you want to block. Dodging them's kind of rough because they shoot so fast. There's enemies with shields you got to like, get around and hit, or when they swing you got to dodge and then hit them. These are really simple principles, but I think the biggest attraction to this game for me is the exploration aspect, because it doesn't tell you where to go. You have to explore a lot. And I found myself finding a lot of things that I didn't expect to find in places that I would have never thought to really look. And after that, at that point, I started looking everywhere for stuff. And there was a lot of times things to be found, which is really cool. I always love when somebody can make their map worth exploring. And this game definitely has that. There's like nooks out of sight of your camera that you just walk back, and then you just see a silhouette of your guy walking through the wall, and you keep walking and you find a tunnel and there's a chest back there, or there's a secret path, or you come out a whole new section of the map that you've seen before but you couldn't access because there's water or something in between. I think that's a lot of fun. There's also like shortcuts you'll open up, very Dark Souls-esque, where you've been in this room before but you couldn't reach that, but then eventually you adventure far enough and then you come out and then you open up like a ladder or something comes out of the wall. Now if you're ever in that area again, you can access this area without adventuring all the way through there again. I really like that level design. Combat is, like I was saying earlier, very simple but fun. It's just like simple and intuitive. You get it. Like block, swing. When you beat people, it feels good because it can feel challenging sometimes. They'll send like fucking 5 spiders at you at once, and they're all over the place, and they're actually stronger than everything you've been fighting before. So it's like, whoa, shit, I got to be ready for this. Or like, you have a shield dude that you fought before, but then later you're fighting like 2 shield dudes. Or later you got these skull guys that just look like skulls in the ground, but then they turn into these dudes that fly around. There's a lot of simple but real challenges when it comes to the combat that I found super engaging. And when I died, I'm like, well, I got to go fucking back there again. And you have to like explore all the way through these guys you fought just to get to the point where you can recover your coins, which very much feels like Dark Souls. Even to the point where same thing in like an Elden Ring or Dark Souls. I'll like run back to my coins because I'm like, I don't want to fight these guys. I'm just gonna grab my coins, and I do that and I get killed. I'm like, fuck. Okay, I'll fight my way there. That's just me being impatient. But yeah, the game's got a lot of charm. Even though it's like untextured, basically, it's a very smooth game. Sometimes even when the camera moves, it feels like I'm looking at like an early build of a game that hasn't been finished yet. But it's obviously intentional the way the game looks, and I do like the way it looks. But sometimes I'm just like, man, this is really simple looking. But you can tell in like the movements and the gameplay and the animations that they put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of love in the game because it functions really well, it plays really well. I never feel like the game feels unfair in combat if I die. So that's cool. Yeah, it has boss battles. You just got to do a lot of dodging, blocking, stuff like that. Trying to think of other things. I wasn't really finding any new items after the sword and the shield, so I don't know if there's other things to look forward to outside of all the items you get. There's also, similar to Dark Souls, it's like a fox head you have to break open. It's like a piggy bank or something, and it has coins in it. Mm-hmm. So you collect those, you break those. Yeah. I think that's about everything I have to say on it, though. So far, I haven't beaten it. So far, though, I've been really enjoying it. I kept it installed. I think it plays great on the PS5. It's definitely a controller game. When I have time, I'll definitely keep playing it because I never wanted to play it, except for I'm like, I have to play it for the channel. We got to be able to talk about it. But then when I did play it, I would just keep playing it. Mm-hmm. There's something about it that's just like, you just keep going. You're like, oh, fuck, I just found something over here. Oh, shit. I just killed this guy. Oh, I didn't know this path was even here. That is probably, it's not a criticism, but it's the closest thing I have to criticism of this game, and it's not at all. It's part of the game design. There are, fucking paths that I had no idea were even there sometimes. There's a room with a stairway that goes up, and I went in that room a million times. And I kept looking at the stairway. I'm like, do I get to jump later? How the fuck do I get to that stairway? And then I came back eventually. I noticed in the back corner there was a shadow where a pillar was at, and you had to walk back there around to go up the stairs. Mm. It was so simple, but I was like, oh my God. Because I had spent so much time running back and forth through the areas I'd been. And so, I'm not advocating for yellow paint, but I was like, fuck, dude. I wish you would have designed that a little better just so I could have found that easier. But, oh well. Other than that, though, the adventure part's fun. And when you do find those paths, you're just like, fuck yeah, finally figured this out. So overall, I like the game.
Yeah, you spoke a lot on the game itself, so I'm going to skip all that and just kind of stick to my opinion parts of it then. The visual style is a huge turnoff for me, to be honest. I think the game is boring to look at. The gameplay is fine. It plays exactly how I kind of expected it to, and the little blend of Dark Souls features, it's kind of honestly expected in this day and age, but I don't hate it. I think that system can work in a lot of different types of games.
I think this game's a really good example of how it can work without being complete Souls-like.
Yeah, I would not consider this Souls-like at all.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
It's definitely more of a...
It's more Zelda than
action
Souls.
Adventure Zelda clone than it is Souls. It just does borrow from Souls, and that's fine.
Yep.
I think it's good in that.
I actually prefer you do that than just make a Souls-like nowadays, because most people are not going to make a From Software quality Souls-like game.
Yeah.
So, just take some of the ideas you liked, make your own game. But when people just try to make a Dark Souls game, I'm like...
Well, it's the same when everyone's making Call of Duty clones instead of just taking stuff that they could implement into their game.
Back in the 360 days, everyone trying to make a Halo sci-fi game. Yeah, it happens.
It's chasing the money. But Combat, like you kind of said, is simple enough, but also you can't just unga bunga your way through it. As I learned the hard way a couple times, as I was getting impatient, because realistically, this is not my type of game, and so I was getting impatient, just trying to get through as much as possible so I could have an opinion.
It's got an interesting pace because you don't unga bunga at first, and then you get comfortable and you start unga bungaing, and then you go to the next enemies and you go to unga bunga and you're like, oh wait, hold on, I can't. Yeah. And then you get to a point where you can start unga bungaing them, and then you move on further and you're like, well, I can't do that anymore. So yeah.
Well, like when you get up to, I think it was technically the first boss. It's hard to tell, but yeah, I had a big health bar in the cave block. When you go up there or whatever, and I just started like swinging at him like a maniac, and then I died. I was like, oh, okay. I'll try. So I went up there and second try I beat him because I was actually like trying to play the game. But yeah, and I agree with like there's a reason to like explore, and like it feels good to like find stuff and whatnot. It's just unfortunately not my type of game. When I want to play a game like this, I do, and maybe this is just me being old at this point, but I do go back and I just play Link to the Past, or I play Willow. Like I like those two games, so I'm not really necessarily looking for another one right now. In fact, I haven't played like a Zelda game properly since the Wii, maybe. So it's been a while.
Yeah, I don't think you played the last two Zeldas.
I've not played any of the equipment breaking ones, and I did not play the Wii U one. I played Wind Waker originally. I didn't play the redo, but yeah, not the biggest fan of that genre. So nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't do it for me. So
sure.
But yeah, overall, I think the game's fine. I can't appreciate. I've heard a lot of people talk really positively about this game. I just I'm not there, I guess. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think I have anything else. So, jump into recommendations?
Yep.
Okay, so if you like Zelda, old school Zelda, this game is that. So,
or just Super Nintendo era games.
Yeah. If you like retro top-down action games at all, I would play this. If you like Dark Souls without the extreme challenge, I would recommend this because it has a lot of similar systems that you're going to feel familiar with. If you like lock-on action games, which both of the things I mentioned before meet that, but other games as well. Some people like that where you lock onto a dude. I prefer games where you don't, but I will lock on if it helps me. If you like exploration action games, like real exploration, there's like actual stuff to find in like nooks and crannies. You'll really enjoy this game. And then last recommendation, I would say, and I always bring this up with certain indie games, if you're someone who likes indie games, I think you'd like this game. It's a high quality indie game, well made.
I agree with that.
It's like super solid. So you're not risking anything by playing this game. If you like this kind of game, you're gonna like this game. And so they definitely deserve credit for that. But yeah, the indie thing, I've literally had people ask me like, "Oh, do you like indie games?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like a lot of indie games, but I get what you mean. Like like not quite AAA, lower quality games." So yeah, I would definitely throw it into that category. Other than that, I don't know, maybe feel like playing animal characters in games. That's very specific. I've never met anyone who said that.
That is pretty specific, yeah.
But maybe that's a thing you're into.
I would throw in also if you like minimalist art styles.
Okay, yep.
So, because it is very much that.
You'll appreciate it.
It was glaring for me, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, and I don't fully agree with you on that, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because I also notice, I'm like, this looks like they haven't detailed the game yet, but the whole game looks like that, and everything jiggles and moves and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
it's intentional.
It's all, sure. Yeah, it's all made, well. It's just not.
It's not
part of my brain. I'm like, is this an alpha still? Are they still working on this? Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of minimalism, anyways, so it's kind of
that's fair.
Rough for me, but
yeah.
I mean, I agree with you otherwise.
All right, grade it.
Personal interests aside, it is a very well-made game. It does what it wants to do. I think it has just enough difficulty to be interesting, while not being so hard you're going to pull your hair out. So I think it's approachable to a lot of people, which is a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it an A-. It is a good, well-made game. I just don't like it. So,
yeah, well, you went higher than me. I'm going to give it a strong B+. I think it's a super solid game. I need to play it further to really get a final grade on it. But what I've played so far, it plays super solid. It looks pretty decent. I think what could edge it into the A area for me is, and I've not played the game fully, but more ways to fight. I like its simplicity. I think it's actually a strength of it. But for me personally, my own personal taste in games, I would like a more diverse way to go into combat. It would make combat more interesting because it does start to feel kind of samey after a while when you're doing a lot of exploration, and you keep going over the same enemy types and just swinging at them. I would like more from that. But other than that, it's a super solid game. I still haven't installed it. I still want to keep playing it, and I definitely see the appeal to it. I heard a lot of good things about it before playing it, and I agree with that. So yeah, strong B plus, and yeah, it's definitely a high quality, well made game. So, anything else?
Nope.
All right, so A minus and a B plus. We both at least appreciate the quality of it, but one of us likes it more than the other. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Tunic. What were some of your favorite parts of it? Maybe there's things about it you didn't like. Maybe you didn't play it at all. Let me know why you didn't play it. I'm always interested to hear. People on Reddit will be like, I never played that shit. And I don't think they're expecting me to ask, but I'll be like, well, why didn't you play it? Like, what do you think? Because I don't care if you have a negative opinion on things. Just be like, just talk about it. I don't care if you don't like stuff. Like, fucking just.
And you don't have to like everything.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of things, but I think the conversation is the important part.
Yeah.
I always defend when people dislike things or negativity if it's constructive. If it's just like, oh, it's shit, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know what to say to that. But
the easiest one for me on that is like, I love Final Fantasy 14, but I understand criticisms of that game.
Sure. Well, just like with Silent Hill 2 recently, everybody's talking about whether they think it's the best thing ever, the worst thing ever, and some people actually have conversations on like what they think is wrong with it. I'm like, that's what I want to hear about, or this is why I think it's going to be good. That's what I want to hear about. So. With all that said, if you didn't like Tunic or didn't want to play it, let me know in the comments why. And yeah, tell me your general thoughts on Tunic in the comments below. Next game and last game we played in May was GhostRunner 2. If you didn't get a chance to play GhostRunner 2, it is the sequel to GhostRunner, and it is basically a first-person 3D Hotline Miami. You play as like a cybernetic ninja dude with a sword who can like dash and run on walls and throw shurikens later, ride a motorcycle in this game. And yeah, you get power-ups. You basically run from room to room. There is a little bit more to it, but you run from room to room, basically able to one-hit and kill any enemy, but they can also one-hit kill you as well. So every room feels like it's a puzzle more than like an actual action game. Even though you are strategizing in your combat, you do look at a room and go, I need to hit that dude first, hit these two guys. They've added more things to the rooms too to kill people with. There's like these flying things you can jump on and guide them and crash them into people. There's walls you can pull down onto people. Bunch of environmental hazards. And then in between those sections, there's like environmental fast action puzzles, like you're gliding or sliding on a rail and there's trains coming at you, so you got to jump from rail to rail and swing off of things to jump over them. And the game's very unforgiving in terms of like fucking up. You die really quick, but it has a really good checkpoint system in which if you fail, you start pretty much right where you just died. So just out of danger, of course. So you get to recalibrate, rethink about your strategy moving forward. And again, like I said, they added a bike to this game. I don't think it's in the first game. I think it's a new thing that you like ride around in certain areas. You're able to jump off of it, able to ride on walls and stuff. It's definitely in theme with the game. And then also they added more perks to the game that you can unlock. They added like a hub area where you can talk to people and get more story. I didn't really pay attention to the story a whole lot. And yeah, we both played it, and we'll jump into your impressions of GhostRunner 2 in May.
Okay. I don't remember exactly what I said about the original game, but this definitely felt very familiar, which is a good thing. Though I remember not really liking the first game either. I think I'm not a big fan of this game as well, and I don't think it's a bad game. Let me just get that out there real quick. But if you're not new here, I don't like platforming, and this game is very much platforming. And also, you kind of brought up puzzles. It definitely feels like a puzzle game, especially like the checkpoint system is very good at being at the beginning of a puzzle. And so you can just kind of spam it over and over again until you get through it, which is good game design. I'm going to give them that for sure. It keeps the flow going. There's no feel bad, like, oh, I got to trudge through all this crap again to try this again. I very much appreciate that, especially as someone who's playing this out of obligation and not because I bought the game. So
yeah, the puzzle thing I try to emphasize, and I did this in the last review of GhostRunner, even though this one feels a little more robust than that one, and I'll get into that when I talk about it. But I have the same sensation in this game that I have in Hotline Miami, where before you kick the door down, you like try to prep yourself mentally. I'm like, I got to take this dude out and get to that guy first and knock this dude out. And when that doesn't work like 3 times, you die, boom, boom, boom. You're like, okay, let's try this, and you go boom, 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 boom. And even though it is a fast action scenario that you're playing through, it still is like problem solving on the fly that feels more akin to me as a puzzle than an action game. Like I'm playing Devil May Cry or something. Because Devil May Cry, I'm not thinking of like strategy. I'm thinking about combos and just doing the coolest shit possible.
Right.
And I don't have the threat of dying instantly, so I just can be in the moment basically. And so I don't think people will disagree too much in terms of like it feeling like a puzzle. But I did hear some people talk about this game, because I watched a couple people talk about it to see what they thought. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're doing this cool shit and you're fucking flying around, and they're talking about it in a way that I can just tell they're viewing the game differently than me. I'm not saying they're right or wrong and vice versa, but it's interesting how people view the game, because for me, I view every room I walk into as a puzzle. I'm like looking at everything going like, okay, I gotta do this, 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 and this, and this. And then other people are like playing it like, also, if I played on mouse and keyboard, it might be different, but then I feel like I'd be closer to playing Quake or something. But on a controller, it definitely felt a little more like, not robotic, but just like analytical. I was a little more analytical in my approach to scenarios. So yeah, it definitely feels like a puzzle.
I do think the game allows for an element of expression or style. So
this one definitely more than the last one.
Yeah. So I mean, I can understand like still seeing it being very actiony, but I think it's almost impossible not to see puzzles, because it is in segments that you go through. You definitely optimize, you clear, and you get to the next part where you figure it out, right? Visually, I like the style of the game a lot. So that's also a positive I have, and I think it's a fun, like high. I almost use the word octane. It's not the word I want.
Kinetic.
Yeah, experience. Honestly, my biggest criticism outside of just my personal taste in games is you brought up the train rail part. I did that like 3-4 times because I didn't realize I had to jump off on the right hand side. I just kept going to the end of the rail, and then I would die. I'm like, I don't get it.
Oh, okay.
And so like, I don't feel like it instructed me very well, or I wasn't paying attention. Who knows?
It's got that FIFA thing, because I remember from the last game doing shit like that. So I was like, oh yeah, just do this. But if you don't remember that, or it wasn't visually intuitive enough for you, then yeah, maybe it's not as inviting for somebody who may be jumping into the sequel, even though technically it is the sequel. So I think they're probably assuming you played the first game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's fair.
I got down there, and eventually like I was like, okay, I'm obviously missing something, because the end of the track isn't where I'm supposed to go. And so I started just like looking all over the place as I was going down the rail. Finally, I was like, oh, I need to jump down there. That makes sense. But I didn't feel very, and it's a minor gripe, honestly, but it was something I kind of noticed. I was like, why didn't I see that the first couple times going down here? So
it's a fast-paced game, though. You got to catch shit as you're running. So
yeah, well, and I'm not the most fast-paced person. So I actually think the game itself made really well, and visually, unlike the last game we talked about, I am into it. I like the style of like that cyberpunky look or whatever, a sci-fi look. But the gameplay style between being fast-paced and platformy is just kind of not me. So it was fine. I could see why people like it. I will not be playing it anymore, though.
Yeah. Well, so after I played the first game, it did a lot of things I liked, but a lot of things I didn't like, and that it's more like Hotline Miami than just like a first-person action game. Was kind of not very exciting for me. Also, there wasn't as many extra things you could do in combat that you could do in this game. So that one kind of fell off pretty quickly for me in terms of being interested in it. This one is more interesting. One thing I have to clarify right at the beginning, though, is I played this on PS5, and it's completely doable. Everything that I was like, this was fucking hard as shit, and then I ended up beating it. And I'm like, okay, you can do it with a controller. If I was on a mouse and keyboard, I think this game would be so much better. So if I do ever play this game again and continue to play it, I will not be playing it on a controller. I'll be playing it on PC. And before somebody's like, well, I beat it on controller. Yeah, I could beat it on controller too if I wanted to. But it's like putting a cement boot on my right fucking foot and being told to go for like a run or play soccer. You can do it. You're not going to do it as well. I'd prefer to do it without that, and mouse and keyboard would be better. So if I do play this game, I'll be playing it on PC because there was some things that they did since the last game that I actually like a lot. So like I think the shurikens were in the first game, but they're like a specific thing, like an event or something. I don't remember. But in this game, you just get them and you can use them in combat, which is cool. You can also deflect or not. No, you can deflect later. I think I just unlocked that in the first level. I don't remember in the hub area, but whatever. You can block bullets, which is fucking cool too. I don't think the first game had that. And if it did, let me know in the comments. It's been a while since I played that game. But you have a stamina bar that is shared between dodging and blocking. I actually really liked that. The shurikens are cool. Oh god, I had some other ability. I don't remember what the fuck it was now. I can't remember. But yeah, combat feels a little better. But here's my biggest problem with both GhostRunner games is it feels more like a puzzle to me because the combat isn't as fluid as I want it to be. When you swing, there's like a delay between swings. You click the button, you swing, and then you can't like swing again really quickly. You gotta fucking just like wait to swing again, and it's there on purpose because it's supposed to be like you want to strike and hit them, and if you miss, you die because the game's so ready to kill you. So I get it, but because of that timing, it feels like more of a puzzle game. But I wish the combat just felt a little more fluid, and a little less stiff. Like swinging feels stiff, movement feels stiff, and I know people are going to disagree with that, but for me, it definitely feels stiff. I mean, I'm used to playing a lot of first-person shooters that don't feel stiff, and this one does. So like when you run on a wall, it feels sticky. You're on there, you jump off, it feels fine, but it also just doesn't feel as fluid as it could. It's not Titanfall 2. Everything, you're like pressing a button to like swing around, stuff like that. It feels very mechanical. The arenas feel super mechanical. It's not a complaint, just an observation of why the game feels very like a puzzle. So it doesn't appeal to me as much as it would if it was just like a first-person shooter. But I think that's also the appeal to it for a lot of people as well, because you can kind of dial in those mechanics in each arena, and you probably get really fucking good at it. And I get that. It's just not that exciting for me. But the combat in the arenas are fun, although frustrating with a fucking controller. Just because I can't look around as fast as I would with a mouse. And there's a lot of situations where you got like two guys running at you swinging and a guy shooting at you, and you're trying to block that dude or hit this dude, and as you're doing that, someone's shooting you in the back, or you're fucking blocking this guy's bullets, and this guy you just killed, the second dude runs up, stabs you. But that's part of the game. And you die. You die and you respawn. You die and respawn. The more environmental puzzle sections where you're doing a lot of like sliding around or running on walls, those are kind of fun, but can go a while. There's one segment, I think is at the beginning of the second area. Maybe it was the first. I don't remember. It's all blur. But you do a lot of like wall running, and then you're jumping and swinging, and wall running and jumping and swinging for a while. And at first it's like a lot of fun, but then like it just goes on for a while, and you're like, okay, this is kind of overstaying its welcome a bit. And I watched some video where somebody was talking about the game and their thoughts on it, and they showed a segment where like you have to like press a button to make a platform show up, and then press a button to make it go away. So you're landing, you're swinging, you're jumping around. So I assume it gets like crazier and crazier, but that kind of platforming is never super exciting for me. So I'm glad they have it for people like that. It's not really my kind of thing, but yeah, boss battles are interesting. I don't know if I fought a boss in the first game, but in this, at first I'm like, how the fuck do they expect me to fight a boss in this game? if you just get one hit and you got to hit this guy a bunch of times. But they have it set up like a puzzle. You have to like look for certain attacks they're going to do. You got to jump over the attack. They have a guy in the first boss fight that is flying around that you got to press a button and he'll shoot the guy every once in a while. It's like a thing that has to charge up, and it'll pause him so you can hit him. Once you get that part down, it becomes really simple. But I get that, like, I got that Dark Souls feeling of like, am I gonna be able to fucking beat this dude? And then I beat him. I'm like, okay, I got it. So that was fun. This game has a heavier emphasis on story that I didn't follow in the first game and I didn't follow in this game. But I appreciate that they did that. The only problem is the voice acting could be better. But this isn't like a big AAA game, so I look past that. But hopefully with a GhostRunner 3, if they do make one, I'm sure they will. This game was very highly praised. They can put even more effort and money into that project and make the story even bigger and better. But I do like that they upped the ante. This game does feel like they took the last game and really elevated it. This feels like what I wanted from that game. So they've done a good job with that, especially with like the hub. You run around, you talk to people. It gives the game some more life, more character, which I think is good. The upgrades is a huge welcome thing. In the first game, I think they had a little bit. It was like some grid thing or something, but it wasn't as robust. This game has much more going on, and it also feels more streamlined, which I like. It's way more straightforward. You just need, I forget what they're called, but the purple things you find on the maps. It allows you more capacity to have more perks equipped. And so that also, I think that was the biggest thing when I was playing this on console that made me think I should buy this on PC. Because I like fucking leveling up. I like getting more things and getting more powerful and finding new ways to play through a level.
Monkey brain want number up.
Exactly. And so, just new ways to play, which makes the game more exciting. But I didn't want to keep playing on controller, so I'm like, hey, I'll have to get this on PC to experience more of that, because that was actually starting to kind of get me locked into the game and wanting to play it more and more and more. So they did a good job there. Yeah, what else? The game's cyberpunk looking. I'm defaulted to like cyberpunk stuff visually, but I do think the cyberpunk in this game is a little generic. It's cool though. I'll never say it looks bad. I think it looks cool, but it does look like any cyberpunk game. It doesn't have like a distinct visual style like Cyberpunk 2077 or some other cyberpunk games out there that have just a very visual style. This game looks like it could be, if this wasn't called GhostRunner and you didn't show me the gameplay, you just showed me like screenshots, I would not be able to tell you what game it is unless I saw the hand with the sword. It doesn't have a distinct visual style, in my opinion. But I'm not going to dock it for that. A lot of games don't have like a hard visual style that really makes them stand out from everything else. But I do like it because it's cyberpunk. I like cyberpunk stuff. What else could I add? It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It scratches a little bit of my loving challenges part of my brain, but I think just because I played on controller, I couldn't fully enjoy it. Because like I said, I felt like, for me personally, because of what I can do with mouse and keyboard in a game like that, felt like I was being held back, which kind of sucked. And I can't dock the game for that because it plays fine on a controller. Like, the controls are good. It worked fine, so I can't really complain there. It's just because an analog stick's not the same as a mouse. It felt like it was really holding me back, so I couldn't fully invest in the game. But yeah, overall I liked it. I think I would play this more in a different situation, and I might, if I see it on sale, might pick it up because it's going in a good direction. I like where GhostRunner's going. I will be really curious to see what they do with GhostRunner 3 because they got good ideas that they're building towards for a 3D Hotline Miami, basically, which I also like. I like Hotline Miami. So that's my thoughts. You got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right, recommendations. If you like high-speed, challenging gameplay, I would recommend this to you. Like if you played GhostRunner, if you played Hotline Miami, if you like anything that's like really fast-paced, really kinetic, punishing gameplay, but rewarding when you beat something, you're gonna really like this game. It's definitely going for that. If you like cyberpunk games and you're okay with high challenge. I would recommend this to you as well. This isn't like I don't think this is a casual game. I don't think certain people are gonna even want to play this game at all. It might be like you look at it and be like, oh, it looks like a cool first-person shooter. Then you're gonna play and go, oh fuck, dude, I don't have the mental capacity to be thinking about all these things happening at once. So it's definitely a enter room, here's the challenge. Enter room, here's the challenge. Oh, speaking of that, real quick, I want to add, I also like that there is random challenges in the game. You'll finish a room and then a thing will come up and it's like, oh, you want to do a challenge in this room? And then you can do that and get your best time and stuff like that. So I'm glad they added kind of like side questy type stuff. Yeah. I feel like ninjas, I guess. You play as a cyber ninja in this, so you might dig that. I feel like platforming, fast-paced platforming. This is a platformer for sure. Anything else?
I mean, it's a completely different speed of game, but I think the functionality is kind of similar, ironically. If you liked Super Hot,
okay, yeah,
you kind of have a similar vibe going on here. It's just, that's a slow-paced game. This is a fast-paced game, but I still feel like you enter room, figure out the best way to get rid of the enemies without getting hit once.
Yep.
And
yeah,
then
it is. Yeah, it's like Super Hot.
Move on. So,
yep.
So if you enjoyed Super Hot, you might enjoy this. So.
Super Hot in VR, dude. That shit's fucking... Doesn't seem like it would be, but it's a fucking exercise because you're just like holding yourself in a position.
The way to play that game.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, I think we played on Plus Club.
We did.
The controller version. I played that after I played the VR version. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could play the controller.
That's kind of how I feel about No Man's Sky after playing it in VR. I'm like, yeah, this is how you play this game.
Yeah, but it's weird because No Man's Sky was made before VR and then turned into a VR game, and Super Hot, for me, in my brain, was a VR game.
Yeah.
But I think it came out on controller first. Anyway, I digress. That's a good recommendation because it does have a similar vibe to the room puzzle, figuring it out when you come in. That's Super Hot for sure. So, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Let's grade it. You went first?
Yes.
Okay, I'll grade it. I'm going to give it... I'm really teeter-tottering here. I'm going to give it a light B+. I want to give it a B, but I do think there's just certain quirks that personally I'm just not into, but they're not bad. I'm just not into it. And so even when I'm talking about like the cyberpunk thing being cool but not anything special, the combat being kind of clunky but on purpose. It's not an accident. It's designed that way. So I'm not super into it, but I understand somebody who likes the mechanical, I'm going to fucking do this as elite as possible. Yeah. You're going to love it, and it makes sense. And it is an improvement over the last game. So it is what you want out of a sequel. So it's I feel like if I was really into this game, I would give it an A. I would give it like an A- or something, but I'm not super into it. And maybe they'll change when I play on PC, but it's a solid game. So yeah, B+. They did a really good job with it. The only like actual criticism I have on it is like the voice acting is not the best, but a lot of games don't do that. So and I'm not going to dock it for that. I don't give a fuck. So
right.
So yeah, B+.
I mean, very similarly. Outside of my personal interest, I think the game is made well and intentionally, but I also think it has a kind of limited scope on what it could be, just because it's pretty hyper focused on what it is. So I'm also going to give it a B+. I do think they have room for growth. To think otherwise is just not being very imaginative. But I don't. I think the only thing that would bump it into an A for me is if I was actually interested in playing it at this point. So if it's not pulling me in, I don't think it's missing something. Obviously, at that point, I would say. But I do think it deserves a higher grade just because it. I think it's doing exactly what it's trying to do. It's just not. It's hard for me to go past that because I don't like even like looking at it. I feel like there's still room for it to grow. So
definitely, although they've kind of locked themselves into a specific type of gameplay, and if they deviated from that, it wouldn't be GhostRunner anymore.
Yeah.
They can't like make it like a. I mean, they could maybe Elden Ring did it, but like they can't really make it into an open world game or something. It's got to be like this room thing.
Yeah.
With new challenges, basically. So, would you grade it?
B+.
B+. Okay. All right, so 2 B pluses from people who were not necessarily into the game, so we're still grading it pretty high because I think the vision and the delivery is undeniable. They have it down, they knocked it out. We're just not the right demographic possibly, which is weird for me because this does feel like a game I should be super into, but I do, when I look at it and play it, view it as like if I lived in an alternate bizarro world where I didn't have games to play, I would be playing this. If I just had like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'll play that game. But I have like too many games that are like higher priority for me to play that it's not going to come up for me. So
yeah, I always think it's important to be able to look at something outside of like your interests and still recognize quality.
Sure.
So
yeah, I wish more people could do that. Every once in a while, though, I mean, not every once in a while, more often than not, I run to people who can have that conversation. It's nice to see.
I do think I'm seeing it more and more, which is nice because I was getting a little tired of the "I don't like it, it's shit" mentality.
Yeah, I hate that. So boring.
Yeah,
so fucking boring. Brain dead. All right. So anything else?
I don't think so.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think of GhostRunner 2. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was fine? And what are some of your favorite things from GhostRunner 2? Maybe there's some stuff in the game that happens later. Let me know that I should be playing it further. You're like, oh, you're saying all this stuff, but like, wait till you get to this part. The combat really opens up, or blah, blah, blah. Let me know. Like, don't be like, oh, fuck you. You didn't like the game or whatever. You know, just tell me, does it get better? I'm sure it does. Yeah, how do you think it stacks as a sequel to GhostRunner? Do you think it did a much better job, or maybe it didn't live up to what you wanted? And where do you think GhostRunner is going in the future with GhostRunner 3? Hopefully they make. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club for May. I've been Seth. Thank you, Sherry, for joining me for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us for this. Stay tuned. We'll have a normal Tasty Cast. I think there's some like gaming events coming up soon too. So we'll be doing TLG Reacts. Coming up. TLG reacts to all the shit when it comes out. But until then, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.